Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. Soundscapes and music have the unique power to set the tone, the mood, and the expectations for gaming expectations we all know and love. Audio has the ability to navigate us through the spectrum of human emotion and beyond. I am your host, John, and today's guest is a musical Swiss Army knife who's brought stunning scores to life across games, TVs, and concerts, including the global Witcher concert series and games like Clair Obscur Expedition 33. He's a composer, multi-instrumentalist, and sonic storyteller. Please welcome Josh Plotner. Josh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to be here.
I'm really good. I love that our background colors match.
Yes.
Instant frenzies.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I have to ask. So, like, in the preamble for this episode, you had two professional quality microphones just readily available and boomed up for you. I see a keyboard in the background. How many instruments do you have within arm's reach of you right now?
Within arm's reach, not as many as I have within like 2 arms reach. But within arm's reach, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 4. Okay, 4 technically. Unless some people count like laptop as an instrument. I think Berklee College of Music allows you to major in laptop these days, so maybe 5.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and there's like all like the acapella type stuff too. You could do like beatboxing.
Well, I don't count my like I count the voice as an instrument, but I don't count my voice as an instrument. At least for now. Maybe one day, who knows? But yeah, I think within like 2 or 3 arms reach, it grows to like 160 instruments.
Whoa, bro! Do you just live in a warehouse full of instruments at this point?
I mean, almost. Actually, I recently, because I was trying to figure out, because it's like a bunch of like it's a lot of flutes and like saxophones and like, but like by number, the majority of things is flute. And if you think about like traditional flutes don't like break down, so I have like a ton of like long sticks. And actually, I was, you said a warehouse. I was trying to think of like the best way to store them, and I like came to the conclusion that I would like build my own custom, like those wine rack inserts that kind of look like a hashtag like checkerboard kind of thing.
Yeah, I know exactly what
like
you're talking
I
about.
built a big custom one that like fit perfectly into a bookcase, and now I feel like it's a little bit like Ollivander's from Harry Potter, where it's just like all the wands on the wall, and I just like pick one out, and I'm like, from Japan, 90 years old. This will like no core because it's a flute and they have to be hollow. Like
that's got to be an interesting conversation starter at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were mentioning before the show that you recently relocated to the wonderful, clean, quiet city of Los Angeles, California.
Before you ask your question, I came from New York, so I hear the sarcasm in your voice, but when you say wonderful, clean, quiet, I'm like, yeah, and yeah. Sorry, go on.
That's funny. I've spent time I grew up in like the valley, basically north of LA, but I spent a lot of time in LA, and I've spent some time in New York. And I gotta say, as dense and old as New York is, it still feels less chaotic than LA is. How's that move been for you?
I mean, I haven't experienced. I'm in North Hollywood. I really know nothing. Like people keep telling me very normal neighborhoods in LA, and I keep being like, what is a Pasadena? Like I'm slowly figuring it out. But I mean, yeah, the move has been pretty smooth, I'd say overall. I figured out how to somehow safely move all these instruments across the country, which was stressful. But
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it happened though.
Yeah. So what was your casualty rate of instruments?
Nothing. I think I got away. Like I had a lamp that broke and a TV that broke. But I like projector life better than TV life anyways. Yeah, that was no instruments. I was very like crazy about my instruments though.
So that is astounding to me. Well, you mean as far as protecting?
Yeah. I like my trick that I feel like I don't hear a lot of people talk about: bubble wrap inside of the case. Bubble wrap outside of the case, of course, but like I didn't trust like the case because there's like a tiny bit of movement. and that over 10,000 miles or whatever adds up, like that vibration. Bubble wrap in the case, like I feel like that's my new go-to of just like totally immobilizing things with like a little bit of pressure even.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for anybody who is not familiar with Josh's online presence, I have to direct you to his YouTube. It is one of the most interesting music and audio facing YouTube channels that I've experienced in a long time. He's got this great series where you're basically like turning everything you can find into an instrument, like you made mayonnaise into an instrument. And that is just such a fascinating thing. I mean, a lot of that's played for laughs, I'm assuming, but you have also featured instruments that I've literally never seen before. Where does this come from? Where does this passion come from?
Yeah, well, where does it come from? I got into world flutes, like flutes that aren't from like the standard like orchestra tradition and stuff because long story short, I really wanted to play on Broadway, and when I moved to New York, and I was like basically like it was like one Broadway gig, please. I think I'm ready. I think I sound good. And I mean, I think I was ready and I think I did sound good. That's not how it works at all. It's entirely who you know. Like the Broadway music world, there's no auditions. It's just like it's nepotism. Kind of,
sure.
But so I was like, my thought, instead of kind of being defeated and being like, I'll slowly work my way up and like meet people and spend years crafting relationships, which I did do. But in the short term, being impatient, I was like, well, what's the hardest book on Broadway to sub for? Because like subbing is how you like, the normal player, like you sub for them and then like you get in that way is like a very
right, and then
normal.
And then you poison them so that they have to use you.
But
industry secret. We'll bleep that part out.
Yeah, okay, good. But no, so you sub, and I was like, well, what's the hard? Like certainly something's like so hard that guy needs subs because everyone else like they just have too many subs. It's not that they didn't like me. It's just like, why would they pick some random like 23-year-old over all the 1,000 other people who want to do it, right? So I was like, what's the hardest one where like this guy can't find anyone who can do it? And I came to the conclusion that it was Lion King, because on Lion King there's a flute book that has 13 different flutes that you play on it, and I was like, that guy probably needs help. And he obviously had it covered, but I was able to like worm my way in and like kind of convince him because he like, most people have like there's a maximum 5 subs you're allowed, and most people have like 10 people anyways. And this guy had like 4. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So yeah,
he had 4 just due to the complexity of the role.
Yeah. Because it's really hard to find, because it's like very like legitimate classical flute, like hard, like concert, orchestra level flute things. And then very traditional sounding, like the African moments of the show. And like these flute parts are just like hard to play. Like for someone who's classically trained, that's a very like brittle kind of music making. It's beautiful, but it's like you learn such a narrow way to play the instrument perfectly and beautifully, and the way that these other flutes are played is a very like flexible, even like jazzy, ornamented way, like or maybe not jazzy is the wrong word, but folky way.
Sure.
And to find someone who can like speak both languages is tricky. The classical and the folky thing together, switching back and forth. And these switches, like there's a couple that I think are like literally like 2 seconds you're on one flute and then you're on the next flute, and like literally 2 seconds and you just like throw them down and pick them up.
Yeah, just hot swapping them all back and forth there. Wow, that is really interesting. So I have to, I mean, we're a gaming podcast, and we're speaking because you've performed on some of the most legendary soundscapes that exist in gaming. But I am really curious, what about Broadway was it that drew you to New York? Like, what was it about that specific format that was interesting to you?
You know what drew me to New York is that I didn't want to have a car as a 23-year-old.
That'll do it.
I had like spent so much time getting up early and moving my car. I'm from Chicago originally, and just like the trauma, please, but like of just like moving my car,
world trauma.
like first world trauma of like getting up at 5 a.m. to move the car because I got back at like midnight and there's no parking for like 4 blocks, so I had to walk 4 blocks on both ends of it. Like I was like, I don't want to, and cars are expensive, and I'm right out of college, I don't have money. So that was the rationale for New York, and then Broadway is the best gig in New York. Like, and just like it's a 6-figure salary, like starting.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, well, I think
As an instrumentalist?
I think as an instrument, I think it's actually like just I think it's like 97 or something.
Well,
No,
still,
they just got a raise, but like maybe it is like 6 now.
When you say they just got a raise, I'm assuming it's a union.
It's union, yeah. So it's like it's
okay.
very stable, and you can also sub out 50% of the shows. So you obviously don't get 6 figures; you get like 50K or whatever. If you sub out 50% of your shows, but you could theoretically work half the year and do anything else for the other half of the year, and come back to a job that you still have because it's a union job, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, right. And union security for any sort of creative role, I imagine, is just like the gold nugget that everybody's fishing for. Yeah. I imagine it's incredibly competitive.
And I found that out the hard way going, and then it got me into this role. But anyways, this is a long way around of answering your original question, which is like how I got into all this is that like learning those 13, or well, 2 of the flutes are flute and piccolo. I knew how to play those. So learning those 11 flutes for Lion King kind of got me really into this world and got me curious. And I was already kind of curious about this stuff, but then it kind of unlocked that permission for me to be like, I could learn a Japanese. I'm not Japanese, but I could learn it. I could, if I study a bunch, like, like I could learn a Japanese flute. Like, and so now I've just been studying and like actually after that, at one point I decided I was doing a self-led master's program where I just took lessons with people from around the world on traditional music and instruments. And
that's cool.
I don't have like a piece of paper that's the master's, but was like 1/10 of the price of a master's to take a bunch of private lessons with people that I respected and wanted to learn from.
Right.
And
the kind of learning you'd want to do anyway.
Kind of learning you want to do, and no one in music cares about degrees unless you're in education. So it worked out great. Yeah.
Very cool. So, you mentioned nepotism. Entertainment is that's the name of the game. There's I don't know if you're familiar with a band called Animals as Leaders, but there's a really, really amazing guitar player by the name of Tosin Obasi, who is like one of the world's great talents on guitar. And most people have never heard of the guy. His talent is somewhat meaningless because he's not, I don't want to say not playing the game. I'm sure he's playing the game, but there is just some element of fame that is like luck. It's luck and who and that's a very hard barrier to break. So you mentioned you get to Broadway and extremely competitive. And at some point you begin to not only diversify the musical instruments you're playing, but also the types of jobs that you're taking. I was wondering if you could tell me how you sort of got into game scoring and playing instruments for game scores.
Yeah. Well, I was always, I did a double major in school, like jazz composition and performance. So I was always interested in the composition side of thing. And I always got like, I always weirdly enjoyed, not just composition, but orchestration and copy work, which is when you make the parts like look really good in that like just like cleaning things up and making things like as clear as possible. It's almost like a psychology game of like, how can I display this information in the cleanest, easiest way to understand?
Oh, interesting.
And so like I've kind of not only like in my woodwind jack of all trades with all these instruments I played, but like I really like have taken like the orchestration and the composition and recently the production thing quite seriously. And I found only advantages in doing that, because it's not like I feel like there's a perception that some people have that's like the more things you do, like the more those skills like fade, but it's quite the opposite. Like if you do more things as an excuse to cover up for lack of skill, like that's one thing. Like, oh, I do everything because I can't do anything that good, so or like I try to do everything as well as I can, and I just like am a perfectionist and also a uh what's it called when you don't believe you're good at things?
Oh, it like imposter
Yeah,
syndrome sort of
it's like
thing.
a
Yeah.
combination of like perfectionism and imposter syndrome and like all these things I do. But so composition, production, and learning all these things allows me to speak better with the rest of the musical team. And so then I've like been able to get more and more creative roles where I just like, can speak everyone in the room's language and kind of do like professional code switching almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like things like for a while I was saying, uh, I was making money because I was one of the only people who knew how to play oboe and what phantom power is. Um, and for audio people, that's like basically the thing that lets your microphones turn on all the way.
Right.
That's an oversimplification, but
Good enough for me. Good
yeah,
enough for
yeah, yeah,
government work.
yeah, but like that kind of thing, because it's just like oboe players never learn about microphones, but if you do, then you can record oboe like for people, and then there's no competition because no oboe players know how to record, like, or very few. Um, so yeah, I just keep finding that the more I learn, the more I know, and the more things I do. So I've gotten into uh like different areas of production and orchestration, and I'm just able to be the
But
resource.
how does that look though? How does that like how do you break that barrier where you're like, wow, Broadway's really tough and I want to continue to pursue this and I have a very unique skill set that allows me an advantage over other people who might be competing for the same spot. But at the same time, I need to supplement my life and my interests. So, here's this gaming thing. Like, how do you start soliciting that work?
Internet. Truly though.
That's our show, everybody.
But like, yeah, just for, there's the people that know you in person, and they, unintentionally like put you in the box that they know you for, but then online you can post about whatever you want, and so, I met a lot of people through like various like remote recording websites, and got connected to people and kind of got known as someone who can send you back a professional sax track in less than 24 hours. Um, and then just having, I mean, also being a gamer, I feel like every month or so I get to like call my mom and be like, "Hey, remember when you told me I was wasting time playing all those games?" Well, now not only am I like able to like know and talk about these games, but I'm able to like I've played video games with video game composers, and when I'm good at them and like it's like a little more respect, like if like the kind of person you play a video game with and you've got like you're playing Mario Kart and there's like you've got like first, second, fourth, and 12th place.
Yeah, sure.
And like it's just like like but it's like it's nice when you're like competing for first and second with a guy who can hire you. It's more of a vibe. Like
yeah,
and
for sure.
and in the video game world, I don't know why I use Mario Kart. I'm always playing Smash anyways. But
oh, we could have a whole second episode on Nintendo stuff, by the way.
I've got like a dozen characters in Elite Smash. Like, it's great. I have a problem.
No, it's an opportunity. I dig it, man. I dig the commitment. First of all, I want to point out what this all comes across as is that you got into video games so you could make your mom feel bad about what she was
correct.
You.
Yeah,
okay. Well, so mission accomplished there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But number two, you were mentioning that there is sort of this feeling that if you diversify your skill set that you are diluting it as well. But I think that what you've done has, I mean, I think there can be a case for that. Like you said, if you're learning new skill sets to cover up,
Yes.
inadequacies and sums, but you're developing synergetic or complementary skill sets.
Yeah.
And that sort of takes you to this unique point in your life where you had spent some time in New York and now you've recently moved to Los Angeles. And presumably because that's kind of where the broader music industry exists and the broader entertainment industry exists. And now you are switching, I don't want to say switching gears, but you are you're placing a larger focus on the composition side of the music part of gaming and media. And I'm curious to hear about your journey there so far. So, needless to say, you've studied this and that has piqued some of your interest. But what is this going to look like for you? Like, how does somebody in music composition start their relationship with a game, for instance?
Yeah. So I feel like I should say, like, the way that I kind of have properly gotten into this role is I was kind of already being asked to do it by certain composers I work with, especially when I'm playing an unusual instrument on a track. A lot of times the composers will be like, I don't know, like I'm like intimidated and or respectful of just like, there's no books about this, at least no books in English about how to write for this instrument, and like, can you just do your thing? And then so like already I kind of start writing my own part, and then sometimes it's been like, oh, you know what, I'll do this, but also could move the piano around, make the harp do this, and then change this chord on the strings, because I speak all these languages. Sure. And like that's an opportunity to be like, so I've like had, and I like, and then also because I feel like I'm always like not taking advantage of it all, but like it's just like I'm too eager. Like I'm like, I love video game music, so it's like I'm just like, yeah, I don't need a composition credit. I just want this to be cool and good. Like
I just want to contribute. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so there have certainly been times when I've like helped like sculpt things, in like, so excited to collect, and in as much as respectfully as much as the composer wants or not wants. And now I find myself in a place where it's like, oh, I actually kind of started doing this on Instagram, where I made this series like called You Should Know About This Instrument. And on the series, I'm demonstrating a bunch of different instruments. And at the end, I write like basically a 30-second video game track. And I'm kind of subtle about it because I just said I wrote a little something for you, but they're all like original compositions that could, like, if you
could work in a game.
Yeah, that could work in a game. And so, and like, I think most of them work. I've gotten a couple ones that have gone like a little bit viral. However you define viral. I don't know how you define viral, but like 2 million views feels cool. I don't know.
Sick like a cold. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so now it's just so now I'm trying to like lean into that more. And also because I have, like, most composers are pianists and guitarists, so usually the people who end up
because they're versatile instruments, and you can yeah.
But so I figure like part of my unique pitch as a composer is, hey, let me write for your video game. You're going to get a sound that no one else can create, and also like hiring people like me is usually like the expensive, like pricey extra part at the end. It's like, oh, we get to hire like live winds or something.
Yeah, for a little flair.
Yeah. But when I'm like, because I'm the composer and I'm not paying myself in that way, like I can put 160 instruments on this for free, right? Like of my own instruments,
and then I can hire sanity.
Yeah. And then I can hire the guitar player. Like,
wow.
like kind of doing it better. So I'm currently like looking for studios that would be interested in kind of that, like having like a unique sound like that. And and also finding like a game that I'm excited about and people I like to work with. I will say, I don't know, there's a part of with the nepotism thing about this industry, like there's a part of me that loves it and there's a part of me that hates it, because like I do want to live in like a meritocracy. Like there's a part of me, because especially like I did classical training, I did jazz training, where it's like those are like competition like genres where like people really try to like whatever the best is, they try to be it. But when you do nepotism, you get to work with a bunch of friendly people, because like, when it's like a nepotistic hiring thing, like the best person might be not very fun to work with.
Right.
Like, and so like the second best person who's almost as good but really nice will usually get the job. And there's a part of me like the college like young version of me is like, screw that. But the more adult being like, yeah, but you have to like live with these people. Like, so it's like if they're the second, I'm not gonna take like the 10th best, but I'll take the second best. Like if they're like way nicer, like because like at a certain point, it's just like your quality will diminish if you have to work with like someone who is intolerable.
I agree.
So
Yeah,
it's finding the balance of like nepotism and meritocracy. Yeah. But everyone's trying to thread that needle, I
well,
suppose.
that's a really interesting concept about how you are sort of using your unique talents to create a unique selling proposition, is what we would call it in business.
Yeah.
So, but with your specific niche, I mean, I don't want to put you in a corner. You play everything, basically. I mean, you play lots and lots and lots of instruments I've never seen before. Fascinating stuff, by the way. This is primarily an audio format show, but for anybody listening, I beg of you to check out Josh's his social media and his YouTube in particular. It's just fascinating instruments. What type of game do you think your music is most suited for? Like if you were to choose a dream sort of IP project or something like something that exists, what does that look like?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is something in the fantasy or probably more the fantasy genre would work the best. Just because like one thing I can very easily do is create kind of traditional sounding things that like are from no culture at all. And that like it's a very for me it's like because I've studied classical Indian music and I've studied Irish music and I've studied Bulgarian music and all like Chinese music, Japanese music. And so if you take Irish techniques and play them on a Peruvian flute,
or
like you get like
or something.
Yeah, so you can get like traditional sounding like kind of like fusion that like comes from nothing. So like something Zelda-y, like Breath of the Wild, like that Breath of the Wild soundtrack. There was when I first heard it, I was like, dang, those were like definitely some of my ideas. Like it's like the kind of like thing that I would love to make. But I got more in me than that for sure. I actually just did a bunch of work for a series that's coming out that's like horror and actually like taking a lot of these like wind textures and just putting them through like interesting filters. Are you able
to tell me what series
I don't think it's not out yet, so I don't think I can say
I think I know what you're talking about.
but there's like some cool unique things that you can do like in the horror things of just like especially like the big breathy like low stuff is, and then like modulated, or actually what can be terrifying, what can be really terrifying is jaw harp. You do things with jaw harp is menacing if you do it right. There's like all sorts of like, and again, like I just have like a deep inner library of unique sounds that like for anything that like wants a lot of flavor, I feel like I'm very well suited for,
Yeah, I love it. There's a lot of I love indie games. I love we talk about this often on the show with the other hosts, is that indie games notably seem to have such a strong musical influence. Like there's a game series called Tales of Iron where it's sort of like a Souls-like, but it's like woodblock inspired art and very music focused. It's it's got kind of like a Game of Thrones influence on it. But one of the things that really struck me in this game is that instead of dialogue for most of the character, they use these sort of different woodwind instruments to mimic what would have normally been their voice. And it's done in such a creative, whimsical way that it really helps to transport you into this world. It's kind of a transformative experience.
Oh man, I just got a flute that it sounds so like much like the Charlie Brown trombone talking. I think I put it. I don't know. I'd have to dig for it.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's a nose flute actually. But it sounds like yeah. It's really, I don't know, like how it's almost like it's kind of like a niche toy almost, but like you could use
yeah,
it like
I would say nose flute,
like
categorically niche toy.
But it's like it's made of plastic. It's like
a Pee Wee Herman instrument, bro.
kind of, but it's like it like has that like wah 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 like that Charlie Brown adult voice thing, but it's like totally different. And I'm like, oh, this needs to be the voice of a character in a series, like, or in a game, like or it could be a whole like species of like it would be like if there's a race of like little weird guys, like this would be their voice easily, and you can like be so expressive with it and like say things, you know. Yeah, but
yeah, very, very interesting. So like you're getting more into this composition side of the business. Once I actually heard a really interesting story. So somebody that has composed one of my all-time favorite soundtracks, his name is Tobias Lilia. He composed the soundtrack for several games, but notably Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2. And Little Nightmares 2 is one of my all-time favorite gaming experiences. It's whimsical horror that's very story-driven, and the soundscape in particular is just gorgeous. I can't imagine the game without it. It is probably the most important part of the game for me. And when we were talking about how he gets involved, it was shocking actually how late in the development of the game he actually gets involved in this. And I was curious to get your opinion on that, because again, I feel like I don't know how they could have shaped this game without the soundtrack. You know, it's almost like the sound informs the game rather than the opposite. What has your experience been so far, or what is your expectation as far as like when you get involved and how you're supposed to, you know, make this audio experience match the gaming experience?
Yeah, so what I would say about the video game world, and I don't think anyone would disagree with me, is like video games are really the Wild West of entertainment. Like there's just not only like is there no rules, but there's also like there's no traditions, there's no norms, and that creates such a potentially cool product and such a potentially like amazing creative space, but also professionally it can create, depending on the team, it can create like an absolute nightmare crunch scenario. And like but it really depends, like, and it depends on just the way people are. There are some people who take big swings and make history, and there are some people who take big swings and send a bunch of people to therapy.
Yep.
And it's
or some combination thereof.
Yeah, truly, yeah. But so because there's no norms, there's like standard practices, like you really find like each one is its own beast. And sometimes you find game developers being like, oh yeah, music, can you just make music like by next week? And they're like, and any,
I could make some music by next week.
But any composer is like, I mean, if you have the budget to make me that miserable, like, and yeah, so it's, but then other things, like I worked on a Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which was an indie game that not a lot of people know about, by Ember Lab Studios, who you might have seen. They did a Legend of Zelda like film first, where it was like it went super viral, but it's like this guy, or well, I don't know if he's like a named character in the universe, but he finds the Majora's Mask and like puts it on and goes crazy. It's like a very, very viral, like well-produced video. They turned into like a game company. And then like when I worked with the composer on this, Jason Gallaty, like we worked for years. I think it was 2 or 3 years, like crafting all this amazing. It's one of my like favorite projects that I worked on. I worked so closely with him on this, and it was just like we really went in on every track for really cool stuff. And the game's fun too. It's like Zelda-y. It's like Zelda, but like very like peaceful and zen and Southeast Asian vibes. Yeah, but so like there's that. But even he, I know like I was protected from it in my role in the project, but like I did some like orchestration for it too. But he, I know, like had insane crunches that would just like be like, oh, we're doing stuff. Oh my god, everything is due like right now, right. You know.
Is that just the nature of the industry in gaming? Is that there's
usually
like, oh wow, like distribution has set some new timeline that we have to hit, and now we have to accelerate everything.
Yeah, and usually it's like we don't want to make the team bigger. We don't want to spend more. It's like we're not going to hire more people. We're not going to spend more money.
Well, how do we get this done by this time with the resources that we currently have?
And also it's double what it was yesterday. Like, here you go. Yeah, but and it just totally depends on the game studio. But yeah, those crunches are a typical consequence of the way many people end up doing business.
So at what point in your life did you say, man, I really want to work super, super hard for a job with an incredibly low probability of success? What could I do? Musician. Like, what led you down this path?
I mean, so I wanted to play saxophone since I was 3 years old.
You started out with the alto sax. That was the first instrument I learned and failed at. But
yes, I've always like been into it. My mom thought it was a phase, but she was like, okay. I didn't start until like when I was 10 years old when the band program started. But then I just kept going. And yeah, I think from an early age too, I was like kind of thinking, or well, from like college, I should say, which is early. I was thinking about not just like, yeah, I want to do this. Like I was so serious about wanting to do it that instead of spending quite as many hours, like, oh, I need to practice harder, I was like, oh, I need to figure out how this crazy business works, and I need to figure out, the nitty gritty
stuff.
Yeah, because also like when you see, and this is for every industry, when you see people like all the way at the top and you're like, they're not very good. Like, how did they get there? It's like, they're very good at business. They're very good at networking. Like, and like, those are skills that, you're not, because it's very simple to just like hone a single skill to perfection, but that sometimes then it'll never get out of your basement, and if it's a hobby, that's cool. That's a vibe. But if you're trying to do it professionally and make money, you have to like also play the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of playing the game here, so you mentioned before that gaming is sort of like the Wild West of entertainment. There's not a lot of rules. It's very freeform, very immersive. As it stands today, the gaming industry is bigger than the movie industry and the music industry combined at this point.
Oof.
To the point where, video games are so ubiquitous and embraced in society that now games that are beloved games are receiving like concert series, like where people are going to see live performances. Yeah, exactly. I was going to mention that the Witcher concert series. Yeah, which you perform in. This has got to be such a interesting intersection of your own interests, being that you're a gamer and somebody who, was drawn to New York for Broadway, and now you're kind of getting to do both a little bit. Tell me about this experience, Witcher in particular.
Yeah. So I'm actually very like passionate about this kind of thing that's happening, these live concerts, because first of all, fans love them. Like, it's just like you go like especially because a lot of times this music is like classical adjacent, like played by an orchestra. Or film scoring is a branch of classical music, like, right? If not like the branch of classical music,
sure,
as far in terms of popularity. And just watching people come to what is ostensibly a classical music concert and lose their minds is like, and like, man, people could do that for Beethoven, but Beethoven is presented in the coolest music is presented in the most boring way. Like, truly just like, it's like this like neutral like stuffiness to it. Whereas like we started the Witcher concert being like, hey, this is a party. Please have fun, cheer when you see characters you love on screen. And we had a screen and we had a light show. Like, like yell, scream, have a good time. There was a guy who dressed in cosplay so good that the entire in the first concert that we did of The Witcher, his cosplay was so good. I don't know, he probably did this on purpose. He like walked across like the very front of the theater.
Oh yeah, he knew what he was doing.
I think people thought that like Henry Cavill was there. His cosplay was amazing, but like people just started like clapping for him, and then he just like sat down in a random seat because he wasn't Henry Cavill. Like, is that his last name? Anyways,
yeah, close enough, I guess.
Close
I
enough.
don't know.
The actor who plays the guy in The Witcher. Yeah, but
Whoa,
so
the guy in The Witcher, bro.
the Witcher in The Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but just seeing
people's love for it is real. Well, by the way, I 100% agree with you with regards to classical music. My wife and I had the opportunity to go to Europe recently. We went to Salzburg, birthplace of Mozart.
Nice.
And so I have seen like live orchestral performances of Mozart and some other classical composers. And man, is that boring, bro. The music is so interesting and technical, and you can appreciate it on its merit, but it, for me as a layman, is boring to watch. We went to Salzburg and did this little like opera-esque dinner sort of experience where they just had two performers performing like the Marriage of Figaro and the Magic Flute and some of the other more notable Mozart pieces. And just the extra immersion of being able to experience the pieces with the emotional investment of the characters enhance the whole experience tenfold. Now, magnify that by somebody living vicariously through a game character for 20, 30, 100, 200,000 hours. The emotional investment is so deep that I imagine when they go to one of these concert series, it is emotional on a level that would be difficult to replicate in any other marriage of media.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is so exciting that it's just like, it's like as popular as it deserves to be. It's like, it's gratifying because also you're doing, when you're playing the game, you're like basically alone, maybe with a significant other or a friend. And then you get to come to a concert where there are 3,000 other people who are just as hyped, if not more hyped as you. Like, it's gratifying. It's like, it's just like this kind of thing. And so I've been like, especially on The Witcher, I put in a lot of extra work to help make this concert happen. I wore a lot of hats that I was not hired to wear, but just to make sure that like the concert went off without a hitch. There was one night I'd slept for 2 hours to just like make a couple things happen, like deliver a few things.
Nice.
Yeah, just like I feel like this kind of thing truly like culturally is a thing that I so deeply want to see become normalized and everywhere and succeed, because it's just like, it's good for the games themselves, like it's good for the companies, it's good like press, because like the new Witcher's coming out soon, and so this is amazing press to get hyped. That's great for that, but it's great for orchestral musicians. Like, there aren't a ton of French horn gigs to go around, and there are truly but there are like a lot of talented French horn players who could use jobs, and like this also like creates more jobs for like classical musicians who are deserving of those jobs. But it's just like, honestly, there's a lot of like 70-year-old people who are like, I don't want to retire at the moment, so it's like it's hard for people right out of college, or even people who are like anyone who's below 40 in the classical music world is probably struggling a little bit.
I imagine. Yeah, I imagine.
But like this kind of stuff creates a ton of opportunities that just like weren't there. And in a way, we're also like, French horn players aren't used to screams that loud. Again, they should be like, but like, the oboe.
When you say screams that loud, you mean like audience enthusiasm?
Audience enthusiasm.
Yeah, what I imagine. My experience
Not horror.
going to, well, yeah, depends on the show, I guess. But yeah, my experience with going to see like classical performances, it's like a golf audience, you get
yeah,
exactly. Whereas probably what you're experiencing playing at the Witcher is like a rock show, you know, where it's just
entirely.
that's so cool, man.
To the point that like I didn't feel like, even though I was sitting actually right the loudest section, I was sitting right next to I was playing bass clarinet on that show.
Okay.
No. But I was sitting right next to the brass section and right next to the drums. The loudest thing that I was like, I should have brought hearing protection was the audience. Truly, like just like that.
Oh yeah, man, let's go. That's so cool to hear, dude.
Yeah.
That's you know, clearly I love gaming. There's a reason why I work on the show. But man, I just love stories about people getting hyped about this stuff. The music in particular, because it's not a visual component of the game, of the media, whatever. I think it often doesn't get the credit that it deserves in gaming. And so I love the fact that the industry seems to be taking this critical, almost blood-like component of the experience and giving it a new, new expression of performance. It is awesome to hear and deserving of it. You know, you're doing The Witcher now. I imagine that a Clair Obscur Expedition 33 tour is probably somewhere in the future.
I hope so.
Just a fantastic soundtrack, and man, the fact that you're able to breathe life into this, and frankly, the fact that it's able to keep people employed, that's cool. That's something that you wouldn't normally think about as a component to this. So yeah,
absolutely, yeah. So I can't remember what I was going to say.
Hey, Josh, I don't know if you'd be open to this, but I have some community questions from our Discord, just curiosity stuff.
Sure.
So from Josh, one of the hosts of the show, primary host of the show, asked, "What is your favorite instrument to play and listen to?"
Oh man, that's like picking between my kids, and I have 160 kids.
Well, yeah, but everyone has a favorite kid. They just, it's usually whoever's in front of them, but everyone knows they've got it.
It is. I mean, like, I guess like I started with like if I'm at a bar and I don't want to have a long conversation about all the things I do, I'll just say like, yeah, I play saxophone. Like that's nearest and dearest to my heart. Like, and that's what I started with, and that's like what I love. That's what feels like home. But there are certain like emotions that you just need other tools for. So it's not like only saxophone, but
yeah, that's interesting. I feel in my head, and I might have a skew on this, but saxophone it's amazing, but it also has a range that, like, I can't imagine saxophone being like an angry. Well, I don't know actually.
Oh, also like there's a whole world of I mean, classical saxophone is a thing that most people don't know about, but classical saxophone quartet music is like a sound that is really wild and unique, that is very almost like academically niche, but like it's incredible like what classical saxophonists do. It's like very technical, and saxophone is I would argue it's the most flexible woodwind. It can get the loudest and it can get just as soft as anything else. It has an extreme range. It's very easy to play very fast. You can do lots of like effects. So like the modern classical people do crazy stuff that is very not well known, but is very cool.
Speaking of classical music, from Tyler Fullis in our Discord community, he asked, you know, you're a reputed classical music fan. What is your favorite era of music overall? Like your favorite era to music to listen to and to play?
My first thought was now, but that feels like a cop out. And like now, just because we're doing like so much fusion of everything. But to answer the question, and I feel like the spirit of the question, man,
it's death
hard.
metal, right?
What?
Death metal.
It's death metal.
You seem like a death metal guy.
I mean,
you seem like a Cannibal Corpse kind of.
yeah, you got me.
Cannibal Corpse with saxophone.
I'm trying to think, because I've been listening to like a lot of like more modern artists lately. I mean, I grew up listening to all the 40s, 50s, 60s jazz stuff.
Yeah,
like,
love it.
Like that's, my background is as a jazz musician, so like all like, I was obsessed with Charlie Parker for a while and
Love it.
Phil Woods and yeah, it's like Kenny Garrett. This is a more modern example, but still, he's alive at least. Uh um
Rare for a jazz musician.
these days. But yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, I'll say like 40s, 50s,
40s,
60s.
50s, 60s. Have you spent any time in New Orleans?
A little bit. Yeah, I definitely like that town. I want to spend more time
Oh,
there.
dude. I would just say avoid like Mardi Gras time, but if you can go in the winter,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Like it's still warm enough that it's like pleasant, but Bourbon Street and French Quarter never really shut down. There's just different amazing music in literally every single joint that you could go to. And I
Yeah,
imagine
I've got a video somewhere of me playing like a clarinet solo, like a Dixieland, my attempt at Dixieland, because I have nothing on those like real Dixieland guys. But on there's like a really big, like old established jazz venue that's like next to like a little like market. I can't think what it's called. It's like near Bourbon Street. Anyways, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's amazing, like the way that music is just everywhere in that city. It's so cool.
yeah, exactly. I can think of few other cities where music is important culturally as it is in New Orleans. And it gets a bad rap because of all the Mardi Gras stuff in a party city. But man, as a musician or as somebody who's a music appreciator,
Yeah.
it is a nexus point. From Jigglepuff, do you feel like you've got a signature sound? Like if you were to like try and give yourself an elevator pitch to somebody who might be looking to employ somebody like yourself, like how would you?
Oof.
What's the magic phrase?
If I'm being honest, I like that. That's something I'm kind of trying to work out these days and trying to figure out because for a while I've been saying I'm trying to win the Grammy for the weirdest career, and it's going great. Um, like I've been so all over. Like I have a multi-platinum hip hop record that I'm a producer on. Like
Really?
yeah, I don't like, but it's like I don't really like the hip hop world that much. Like hip hop music is great, but the hip hop world is not
Not
my
so great,
favorite
yeah.
industry. Um, but like yeah, but then I've done the classical stuff, the jazz stuff, the video game stuff. I've I've worked with like AJR a little bit, the
Well,
like
I'm
pop
sorry, I'm not
trio,
going to be able
like
to focus until what is the record that
Ambition for Cash by Key Glock.
okay?
Um, yeah, and I'm on a few other ones too, but like truly all over the place. And yeah, so like I'm trying to narrow down my signature sound these days, but it's like there's a part of me that like doesn't want to be crammed into that box, but also understanding that it's useful to have a box. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Coming back to the Witcher, our Discord community member Disratory mentioned, he is very excited about this Witcher project. Are you aware of any other concert series that might be giving games the same treatment coming up? Like anything
Besides The Witcher.
Yeah, exactly. Anything you know of that might be like for sure in the works, not just hypothetically.
There's a PlayStation concert coming up
Oh,
where
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
It's coming to I'm currently in like Seattle area and I just got a notification for it in like February or something.
yeah. Yeah. It's I've seen. I mean, I'm not a part of that one. At least yet. I do know the people who are putting it on, so maybe I will be a part of that one. We'll see.
Ah.
I'd love to be. But it looks amazing. It looks very very cool, and I'm like, call me. You guys have my number.
Yeah, so
I'm here.
for anybody who isn't familiar with this, there's a PlayStation concert series where it's literally going to be like a greatest hits of the last 20 years of PlayStation gaming and soundtracks for PlayStation games. It looks incredible. It looks like that's going to be like a once in a lifetime experience. And
Yep.
speaking of which, HypnoticPyro asks, you performed famously on the Red Dead Redemption 2 score. What was that experience like?
Man, that experience was so wild. I don't know. The way they found me, my understanding is like normally musicians, like people find music through like a friend of a friend.
Sure.
I think that there was a website, I assume it's still up, called like Gig Salad, that like 22-year-old me was like, I'm gonna sign up for every single job site and say that I can play saxophone at your wedding and like stuff like that. And I think that's how they found me. And I ended up hiring a band of like all the coolest people I could think of. And we got some like there's some cool people on that track too. Like Natalie Tenenbaum and Charlie Rosen are like, or Danny Giannicucci just wrote like he arranges for like Lady Gaga. Like the people on that track, or well, a few tracks, are like all crushing it these days. But yeah, I hired the band, and they just like asked us to play random, like, because it's all public domain music. They wanted it to be like very accurate to the year. And we the studio I thought I knew all the like the main New York recording studios, like of like the big ones. And there was like this like little recording studio, like just for like, it's like a metal studio, like metal bands, like only, and like, and in the green room is just booze, you know,
booze,
like
cigarette,
and
butts.
yeah, and it was unusual too, because usually these like places are like but this was like on like in an office building, high rise, like on the water. It was like, that's like not a typical music studio location. I feel like they're usually closer to the ground floor, often,
or in the
like,
basement.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really, and they just were like, do whatever you want, kind of like pick public domain things that existed, and then just kind of like make up the arrangements. It was super collaborative. They were really nice. Yeah, we had a great time. And then, so all the music I did is in the theater in New Orleans, actually. In the game. And like, yeah, we had to record all sorts of things for like, oh yeah, if they shoot the performers, like we have to like have like a reaction. So we have to have like some like things like when the band like falls apart, or like stuff like that we can like,
it's like almost like Foley art at that point. Like you have to like,
truly, yeah. We did all sorts of stuff, and I had fun bringing, like, I brought like a slide whistle and like all sorts of like weird little like extra toys for that like vaudeville sound. Yeah, that was a really fun project.
That is so cool to hear, and you're a really, really interesting guy to talk to, Josh.
No, thanks.
So I have to ask, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, man, but you know, you played in a lot of legendary projects. You got instruments all over your studio there. Is there some way I can pressure you into playing us a little ditty?
Yeah, I could play a little ditty.
What do you got?
I've got I've got an ocarina.
I just so happen to know about a game that features an ocarina.
Sure. Actually, before, I'll play what you want me to play.
Okay.
But before I do, what's really fun that I can do on this? Actually, at Star Wars Galaxy Edge, like in Disney.
Yes. Big fan.
The Star Wars part. I played on a track in there, and what's fun about so this is an ocarina. Ocarinas are really unstandardized. Like there's like, everyone makes them differently. Like whereas like a saxophone is like, they're all kind of the same, every company. Ocarinas, there's no. So this one is a triple ocarina, so it can play 3 notes at once. And long story short, you can make it sound like this.
Wow. Yeah, it's a droid.
So I definitely played that for. There's this track I think it's in like
you're blowing my mind right now.
Bar place or something. That's not how they made the R2D2 sound, I'm pretty sure. But I was like, that sounds perfectly like a droid.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's very fun to do. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody listening, if there were a time to tune into the visual component of the show, that this is it. That Josh is creating a wonderful visual with this ocarina. Wow.
But the I think the more famous ocarina thing is this, right?
Dude, I got to tell you, you just unlocked so many 30 and 40 something year old people's core memory boxes with that.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is awesome, dude. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Josh, you're such an awesome dude for joining us on the show, man. Where can people follow you and your projects?
Yeah, so it's usually just my name so at Josh Plotner, JoshPlotner on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Those are the places. Oh, and my website is joshplotnermusic.com if you want to see a bunch of nerdy woodwind stuff. It's all there. Yeah.
Yeah, and listeners, watchers, I highly encourage you to do it. There is something that it just creates another level of immersion, seeing how these soundscapes in games are created and seeing how a man of Josh's talent is able to apply said talents to the gaming experiences we all know and love. It is absolutely fascinating and gives you another level of appreciation for the gaming experience. For anybody who's listening, thank you so much for listening to this show. If you've enjoyed your experience, please take a moment to rate this show 5 stars in your podcast player of choice and give us a follow. It's usually like a little plus symbol or the little 3 dots somewhere on your podcast player. If you'd like to take your support a level further, please join us on Patreon. We've just revamped all of our Patreon perks. It's a very robust set of perks, which includes raw cuts of episodes like this, so you can see before and after the show. And, those efforts really help independent shows like us keep going and be able to talk to awesome people like Josh here. Guys, that's all we've got for this one. Thank you very much for your time. And until next time, happy gaming.